Starscream Kills present. Okay, land section. This is pretty basic, but I think a big piece here that's important to state right off the bat is you can't be miserly with land in your mana sources. If you noticed in my spells, I did include the border posts there because technically they are artifacts and they can be shattered. So I do include them there, but they do count as part of what's going on here with land. It is tempting to say, oh yeah, you know, I need to squeeze in some more cards, and maybe even with a mana curve you can get away with it, but I get pretty religious here about 24 sources in a 60 deck, or just a little bit above 60 deck. I just think it's really important to do that. If I don't get 2 lands in an initial hand, I usually mulligan. It's just very important. Now, the big pieces of expensive cardboard you'll see here at the top. Thankfully, I was able to get a fair amount of that actually in boosters, but Drowned Catacombs are blue-black and blue-red, and the beauty of it is it's land blank. So there's no island walking against this, or swamp walking against this, or mountain walking against this. And so it doesn't leave you open to some of those evasion abilities. Also, combat abilities, I don't know, I'm sorry, probably a misuse of term, so excuse me. Also, classic though, you need basic lands, so 4 swamp, 4 mountain, 2 island, and then the terramorphic expanse, which I'll get to in just a minute. And then the versatile card, also of Gargoyle Castle. I like to play with a couple of these. I count them more as land, and it's like, in case of oh shit, pull, that's what I use Gargoyle Castle for. It's only in a worst case scenario. It's also nice if I maybe have a trump card in my hand just to hold it and have a bunch of land untapped or something like this. If I don't have a good play, so I can keep them guessing about maybe a counter spell, or that I will tap to turn that into a gargoyle. Again, you want to, you got to play with someone's minds. They told me in the Marine Corps, infantry is a thinking man's game. Magic is definitely a thinking man's game. Or woman, I hope we see more. Terramorphic Expanse is a good point of that. For example, the blue mana. I tend to find in my meta island walking to be the biggest offense. So bringing in islands is something I want to be careful about. So actually, it's not too bad of a deal to go ahead and throw down a Terramorphic in your turn and not tap right away to get your land. Remember, you can sacrifice this at instant speed. So you can do this in their at the end of their second main phase, your opponent's phase, to tap and then pull in your land. Now that could be wise. For example, let's say I have 2 cards that I really want to play. I have a Lightning Reaver in play that they're not able to do anything about. So just for instance. And let's say I also have maybe a Cemetery Reaper and a Death Baron, so they can't just lightning bolt the damn thing away. I have a clone in my hand, but I also have a counter squall. And I don't have the second piece of blue mana. So I go ahead and I throw down the Terramorphic Expanse. But let's say we're in game 2 or more, and the opponent knows I use counter squalls and clones and is really afraid of that lightning. I don't want to telegraph to my opponent that, yeah, sacrifice, I'm bringing in an island, guess what's coming down your throat? I want him to maybe think that I didn't pull those cards that I needed. And so especially then I would want to stay away from maybe Sign in Blood or Diabolical Tutor Function of Liliana Vess in order to keep them guessing. And then right in the end of their second main phase, when they can't do anything about it, then tap, sacrifice, bring in my island, and then in my untap phase, there it comes. And then I can bring in my clone and my counter squall. So the chances of them stopping that second Lightning Reaver is going to be really tough. So those are kinds of things. You got to be careful. Again, also with the castle, someone pro-black is something that I struggle with. So it's important to have this as an option. But, if I'm mana shy, this isn't sucking up a creature spot. I don't have to make this a creature. But against the White Knight, which proved to be a real pain in my behind, that could be very helpful. So a Gargoyle Castle, or if they pumped up the Knight, that, and then instant out with the lightning bolt to finish it off. someone did a behemoth hammer, which was +2/+2 trample lifelink, and it was on a white knight, and it was just hell for me. So anyway, those are options and that you can do. So again, remember, we have to think through it. It's important to do deck construction, to get your head whacked, and to learn for yourself how to construct the deck. It's going to take a while to tune this up, and so now I'm going to show you some sideboard, which I hope to not only affect opponents based on what they're doing, but also deck speed.